you could have inaccurate readings on your gauges.
There could be all sorts of little witches running around the car.
Say no to witches. Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Airing of Grievances. I'm Eric Reamer, that's Robert Grieve, and we are very happy that you are here with us today. If it is 9:30 a.m. in the Mountain Standard Time, it is time for the Airing of Grievances, and we encourage you to join us for the premiere, and you can actually chat with us in the chat section on YouTube during that first airing. We always try to make sure that we connect with you and chat. We enjoy your conversations very, very much.
Lots of fun.
Yeah.
Lots of fun.
And in addition to that, if you're one of our regular family members, we thank you for joining us again. We appreciate each and every one of you. And if you haven't done it yet, click the subscribe button, click the notification bell, and that will help tell YouTube to tell other people about this content. And as always, if you share the content, we're always grateful. And so on that note, Robert, happy Saturday to you.
Happy Saturday to you, and my dear friends, happy Saturday to you.
So today, this is just a couple of days past the repair of my son's vehicle here. Mm-hmm. And, you know, every so often, sometimes bad things happen, and they happen to people that you know. And in this case, my son had his vehicle repaired here because, in our humble but accurate opinion, there's no better place in the state of Colorado to get your vehicle repaired. And so you brought me an interesting document that comes from the user's manual of my son's car.
Yeah. I think we're going to have a little bit of fun today.
Okay.
You know, if you're new to tuning in, we put these videos together for consumers.
Right.
But there's plenty of repairers that also follow along, and I'm grateful to all you people.
Absolutely.
And, you know, it's kind of like a did you know and, you know, some fun stuff.
Yeah,
and
file this under the stuff I didn't know.
Yeah, and consumers, while there's some stuff I'm talking to you about, the stuff I'm talking to the repairers about that we have to go through is also interesting to you. Because, you know, it'll help you maybe understand questions and stuff to ask if you're interviewing a shop to get your car repaired. So
you bet.
We're going to talk about batteries. And I would think that most people have had some sort of an issue at some point with their battery.
Well, just don't tune out yet, because some of you have watched, you realize that I put out a video just 2 weeks ago about batteries, but it was about those great big EV batteries, the electric vehicle batteries. This is not about that. This is about your garden variety, everyday, common battery in almost all the cars on the road.
Yeah, it's in all the cars. Even the EVs have a 12-volt battery.
All right.
That runs certain functions. It's... So, here's an important piece. If you have to get the vehicle jumped, or you have to put a new battery in it because it died, you may want to just take a peek in your owner's manual.
Okay.
Now, we're talking about an older vehicle, so the newer vehicles, the list is much bigger, and depending on what equipment you have.
Okay.
But this is on a 2016-17 Prius.
Toyota Prius.
Which is a very popular car.
Sure.
You see a lot of them on the road. And what does the manual have to say here? Well, it says, and this is your owner's manual.
Everybody gets one.
Everybody gets one with their car.
Yeah.
When the 12-volt battery is removed or discharged, information stored in the ECU is cleared.
What is the ECU?
Electronic control unit. It's like one of the brains.
Got it.
Okay? It's up here, remembers stuff.
I don't have one of those, so I just needed to ask.
There you go. So information stored in the ECU is cleared. When the 12-volt battery is depleted, have the vehicle inspected at your Toyota dealer. Now, why in the world would you need to go to the Toyota dealer because you had your battery replaced, or to have your battery replaced?
Right.
Well, The next bullet down, it says some systems may require initialization. So not everything may work the way it's designed. If your battery goes dead or you disconnect the battery. And if you're changing a taillight bulb or anything like that, all manufacturers say if you're messing with something electrical, disconnect the battery.
Yeah.
All right, and so we're all good with that. So in this owner's manual, it says the following items must be initialized for normal operation after such cases as a 12-volt battery is reconnected.
Let's see if there's anything on this list that may either surprise you or, as it did me, I just didn't even know.
The power windows, the auto up and down,
Yeah.
that may not work anymore. You have to reinitialize that. Same thing with the moonroof. If you have an automatic opening or automatic closing moonroof, you may have to just hold the button and make it
initialize
manually. But you have to initialize it in many cases, not in every single case.
Sure.
Intelligent clearance sonar, if equipped. That's a big one.
Yeah, that's the thing that says you got an object in front of you and you should probably stop.
Or behind you.
Yeah.
It's those sensors that you see on your bumper, the little round ones. They have to be reinitialized. And, parking guidance, a few other little odds and ends. But they may or may not operate the way they did before you changed the battery.
Sure.
And they have to be initialized.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you have, and again, we're talking about a 2016-17 Toyota Prius, but if you have, the hands-off parking, parallel parking, you're definitely going to need that initialized.
It's probably not going to work. It'll come up.
guess.
It'll probably come up with a message that something's not functioning and it's not going to work.
When inches matter,
Yeah.
don't take it into your own hands.
The other thing the manual says is, and I know it may seem remedial, but they tell you how to connect the jumper cables if you have to have the car jumped. And this is becoming more and more important with the electronics that are in the vehicle. So, the vehicle that you're jumping from that has the good battery, you put the positive and the negatives right on the terminals of the battery.
Right.
But your car that the battery went dead on, you put the positive one on the terminal,
Right.
and the negative one on some other grounding
Piece of metal. Yeah.
on the car.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a post sticking up there for that neutral,
Yep.
or you may have to hook it on the engine. Something, not the
actual
negative.
battery.
Yeah. Not the negative terminal of the battery. Don't do that.
Okay.
Because many of them have battery saver features, or different types of a little piece of electronic that memorizes things.
Yeah.
And when you jump and put it on both posts on your own car, it doesn't know where the power is coming from.
Right.
And it tends to screw up other things inside the car. Put it on your some sort of a neutral place, not the battery.
Gotcha.
But as you go into the procedures from Toyota, there's some other interesting information.
Okay.
And this is why you might have to take it to the dealer. Because procedures necessary when auxiliary battery, that's your 12-volt battery, terminal is disconnected or reconnected. You must memorize the steering angle neutral point. You really need to have the Toyota scanner to plug into your vehicle to find out what that neutral point is, because you want it to be zero.
Right.
If it's plus or minus, that's not good. And an example of you noticing that would be when you back up and you have a GPS and it turns into the screen that shows you what's behind you and gives you those lines to get you into the parking spot. They can be off a little bit.
Okay.
If your neutral point is not where it's supposed to be, calibrated to zero.
And this is an aside, but I just had my car worked on. I have a Lexus convertible, older car, and I had the VSC, the Vehicle Stability Control lights, light up. And when we adjusted and initialized the 0 point on the steering column, those lights went away. So it's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah. But there's more.
But wait.
Naturally,
more.
you have to initialize if it has a tailgate, you have to initialize that. You have to do the same thing with the windows and the sunroof and, get them all initialized. But there's some interesting cautions here. After the power switch is turned off, the radio and display, also GPS, receiver, assembly records various types of memory and settings, like your radio stations or, points of interest on your GPS or, just different stuff. As a result of turning the power switch off, that's your ignition switch.
Okay.
Make sure to wait at least 120 seconds before disconnecting the cable from the negative auxiliary battery terminal.
You're supposed to wait for 2 minutes before you do anything with the battery after you turn off the switch because it's recording stuff.
Let the system do its thing. There are vehicles that take up to 5 minutes to do all that because it may want to turn off the safety connect or,
So when you turn this thing off, it just doesn't turn off.
No.
It starts its countdown of things to do.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yep. Here's another little fun fact.
You're full of fun facts today.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Another caution. When the cable has been disconnected and reconnected to the negative post, so that's when we disconnect, called DNR the battery, we disconnect the negative cable.
Yep.
So as we're working on the car, there's no electricity going through there and, everything's safe.
Yep.
So after we reconnect it, open and close the fuel lid before turning the ignition switch back on.
What?
Why?
Wait a minute.
Why would you need to do that?
I
So
can't
take
come
the
up.
gas cap off if you have one. It's not just open and close the door.
Yeah.
It's take the gas cap off if your car is equipped with a gas cap.
You got to give us the other shoe, man, because I
Well,
can't figure this out.
They actually tell you.
Okay.
Okay. The accuracy of the fuel receiver gauge changes depending on the fuel tank deformation caused by the internal pressure. Before turning the power switch, which is the ignition switch, on, equalizing the fuel tank pressure with the ambient air pressure by opening and closing the fuel lid after disconnecting and reconnecting the cable to the negative auxiliary battery terminal increases the accuracy of the fuel gauge. So let me give you an example of that.
Come on.
How about, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, you drop off your vehicle, has a full tank of gas.
Right.
You come to pick it up, you start to drive away, it says you have a half a tank of gas.
Wow.
Or vice versa.
You guys been joyriding?
Yeah, you just never even know. And it could be because the tank was not repressurized to ambient, which really all you have to do is open it up so that it can
Breathe.
breathe. You've seen gas cans, if they get hot, they start to suck in a little bit. Well, your tank is the same
When
way.
you open your gas cap, or I have a cap still, and I open it, yeah, that's what you hear.
Yeah. Well, you want to hear that before you turn the ignition switch on. That way the fuel gauge will read properly. So, reading these procedures, can come in handy.
So here's the thing, and we talked about this before, actually, airing this. I wrote down a note that says basically, faster does not always equal better. And yet the pressure, especially if you are in a shop that has a relationship with the insurance company, the pressure is on to move vehicles through faster, because the faster they move vehicles through, the more money the shop makes. And yet, if you skip through some of these things and don't do what the procedures say, you could come up with some poorly calibrated or initialized situations in there. Systems is the word I'm looking for. And additionally, you could have inaccurate readings on your gauges.
There could be all sorts of little witches running around the car that will probably eventually go away because the car kind of learns itself.
Say no to witches.
But if you want everything to work immediately, you go through the procedures. And if you're taking your vehicle to a shop that disconnects the battery, or it goes dead while it's being worked on,
right,
because the door's left open and the lights burn the battery down, you have to do this 0-point calibration on a steering angle sensor.
Yeah.
Is your shop going to do that? You're not going to know if it's where it's supposed to be or not, unless it's so dramatic.
Yeah.
Your backup, lane stuff. But this also, if you have headlights that go, that turn to go around, that's all off this steering angle sensor.
Yeah.
And
everything is connected, and more so
sure
today than ever before.
So as a consumer, read your owner's manual. As a repairer, read the procedures, and share with your guests. They'll some of this I find humorous, but there it is. I mean, there's a reason why they want it done.
I never knew, and be careful to the voices that want your attention when they say otherwise.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for bringing this. I appreciate it.
Happy Saturday to you.
To you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have an amazing week.